So in this video, I'm going to go over exactly why watching too much of David Goggins can actually be a very, very dangerous thing.
I'm finally facing it all, fearless.
Welcome to my channel, Fearless Within. I'm Rob, I'm your host, and today we are going to talk about David Goggins. Now, if you don't know who David Goggins is this amazing ex-Navy SEAL, badass guy who's probably the most badass guy on the internet. And he is such an inspiration.
What statement are you making? The psychology of savagery. I wasn't the best runner, but what I did was I found the work schedules out of my competition, and I made sure they saw me running day and night. I tried to get in their fucking heads. I got a video the other day.
And actually, he had a huge influence on my life when I was watching him because he's such a badass. So I almost became a Marine because of David Goggins. So in this video, I'm going to go over exactly why watching too much of David Goggins can actually be a very, very dangerous thing. So I've been watching David Goggins for many years, not continuously, once in a while. However, whenever I watch David Goggins, I just feel so motivated, like I'm gonna transform into a Super Saiyan because David Goggins is badass. So, whenever I watch David Goggins, I was influenced by him when I was lifting specifically. And I would do crazy shit in the gym, like I would deadlift 20 reps per set. I even called up gyms on Christmas because I wanted to lift on Christmas and be the most badass guy out there lifting. And I even remember one day I fell off of my motorcycle. I sprained my wrist, and then the doctor said to take some weeks off. The very next day, I was in the gym. I just wrapped my hand up, and then I started doing pull-ups, and I was back in the gym the very next day. So I did a lot of stupid stuff that could have potentially injured me in the long run, which, you know, David Goggins would say, just man up and just do it, and then just keep going and be hard, be strong, stay strong, blah, blah, blah. However, for most people, this doesn't work, which leads me to my first problem with David Goggins. If you actually listen to what he says,
Strictly about you finding who you are. So many people die, live 100 years, never fucking know who they are.
this guy is a crazy mofo. He does a lot of crazy stuff that most people should never, ever do because really it's crazy. So yeah, if you follow David Goggins, you know that he actually ran a 100-mile race. And in this 100-mile race, after 70 miles, he actually began to pee blood. Yeah, because I guess his kidneys failed, right? According to Business Insider, his kidneys failed around the 70-mile mark. He had broken all the small bones in his feet and suffered dual stress fractures in his lower legs. He had shin splints so bad that he wrapped his ankles in compression tape just to stave off the agony. It was the worst pain he'd ever been in. And he says, I was, to me, on the brink of death just to finish a 100-mile race. Guys, of course, that is pretty freaking crazy. And if you are peeing blood, your legs are about to give out, and you feel like you're dying, you should probably stop the race. Now, I'm not a medical professional by any means. However, in my own opinion, I think this is a good sign. Your body is telling you, hey, you should stop. However, David Goggins is 1 out of a million, right? Most people will never ever be able to do what he does. He even says, do not follow his advice. If you end up following his advice, you're probably going to get injured. And injury is definitely not a good thing if you want to live in the long term. So yeah, if you want to just duke it out, you know, be very, very efficient, very, very hard, very, very strong in a short amount of time, then go ahead, beat David Goggins, do what David Goggins says. But if you want to live for the long run, if you want to be an old man who can actually run, you know, more than 3 miles, and if you want to actually have a good, long-lasting longevity life, then I would recommend not following what Goggins does and says. And that was the first issue I have with watching too much David Goggins. The second one is when I followed David Goggins' advice, I felt isolated from other people. What I mean is I didn't really relate to other normal people in the gym whenever they would, you know, say different things, complain, whenever they would be on their phone. I would see them on their phone on the bench just taking these long breaks. I would just think, what are you doing? You know, you're here in the gym. You should be going hard. You should be going strong. I was that guy in the gym who was always like really, really yelling and so aggressive because I felt like when I was under the bar squatting, like I kind of visualized, and this is also what David Goggins does. He uses visualization techniques. When I was squatting really heavy weights, I would visualize someone holding a gun up to my head and saying, if you don't squat this weight and you don't get it up, then I'm gonna basically shoot you, you know? So I had this kind of like very aggressive kind of mentality in the gym. It's either do or die mentality. And it's definitely not healthy because you can't really relate to other people who don't have that mentality. And that's 99.9% of people in the entire world, right? Most people are not that aggressive. Most people are not that like super strict forward. And I don't think it's very healthy in the long run. If you especially want to develop healthy relationships and actually be able to relate to people. So that's the second problem. I couldn't relate to other people. And the third problem is I was actually very, very full of myself. I was very self-centered and kind of full of ego. And I don't know if this is my own personal problem I had when I was very into David Goggins, but I felt like I was so beyond the level of normal people in my way of doing things, right? I felt like I was so hardcore that I was the most badass, most hardcore person out there. I probably wasn't, you know? Even though I did a lot of things that David Goggins told me to do, which was go hard, go strong, give it 110%, which I did every single day in the gym. And I just felt that I was beyond other people, you know? I kind of had a big ego. And this is a very kind of interesting trap that people fall into. They start to really feel like they are better than other people, which is very, very not true. You know, other people have different goals. So I just thought that lifting was the only main thing, the only main purpose in life, which really, I think a lot of people who listen to David Goggins might think that, you know, they might really think that if you're not going hard, then you're not doing what you should be doing, you know, which is like going super strong in the gym. However, you must realize that people in the gym, even if they're, you know, overweight or they're just beginners, they're in the gym, right? That's the most important thing. They're actually trying to do something. So I feel like that is more important than actually going so hard, you know. Everyone has something different. Everyone is in a different point in their life. Everyone has different priorities. So I feel like we should be more welcoming to them and aggressive or demeaning to those people who are not like David Goggins. And the next problem I have with too much David Goggins is really, I feel like David Goggins is too much motivation, basically.
You gotta just be whoever the hell God or whoever the hell you believe in. If you believe in nothing but yourself, I don't care what it is. You gotta take everything and throw it away.
He's very motivational, which is good if you need motivation. However, motivation will only get you so far, right? I've been lifting for, you know, probably 8 years now. And well, I stopped recently, and I'll link that video to what actually happens to your body when you stop. It's very interesting. I highly suggest you watch that video. However, lifting, you really don't need a lot of motivation. You need some motivation, but the discipline to get you to a place where you can get out of bed every single day and go to the gym is way more important than any motivational video out there, including David Goggins. If you're at a place where you're watching motivational videos all the time, that might be good for you, but you should get to that place eventually where you can start lifting without motivation. And that's going to get you farther in the long run. So motivation is very good. I know a lot of beginner lifters, when they first get into the gym, you know, the first year or two, they'll probably listen to or watch a lot of motivational talks, speeches, stuff like that, which is good, but get beyond that point. That's the ultimate goal. You want to be able to lift without having external motivation. You want to be able to feel that inner motivation that lies within through discipline, through hard work, through consistency, and then you won't need that motivation in the long run. And then I think David Goggins is a freaking awesome, badass guy. He's done a lot. He's helped this country, you know, and I thank him for the service. I feel like a lot of people, especially young men out there, are really consumed by David Goggins, and they feel like, you know, his mentality, his way of thinking is really everything. And, you know, David Goggins, he kind of reminds me of Bruce Lee, right? His work ethic. And Bruce Lee, he worked out like 10 plus hours a day, every single day. Now that is really crazy. You really can't even have a full-time job if you're going to do a Bruce Lee style workout. But in the end, what happened to Bruce Lee was that Bruce Lee ended up dying. You know, he passed away at, you know, according to Google, if you search Bruce Lee's death, you'll have a lot of mixed opinions of how Bruce Lee actually died. I think the official statement of Bruce Lee's death is that really his death is unknown. However, there are videos which I will also link below if you're interested in Bruce Lee's death, that show that it's probably because Bruce Lee overtrained. His way of stressing his body, his way of working out, his whole daily routine was just way too stressful on his body, which eventually led to his body failing. And I feel like David Goggins, he's a very, very hardcore man. However, he's a very, very lucky man to actually still be alive, right? Not because he was in the military, but also because the way of his training, he actually was able to do things that the normal man cannot do. So, of course, most people cannot be like David Goggins. Most people will never, ever achieve the same feats that David Goggins achieved. But the most important message that I can give to you today is to do what you can. Stay hard as long as you know what that means for yourself. And stay strong, whatever that means for you. And David Goggins even said, don't follow his advice. Follow your own advice. Do what you can do. And be yourself.
I was so driven, and I'm not going to say motivated because motivation's crap. Motivation comes and goes. When you're driven, whatever's in front of you will get destroyed.
So that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching my awesome video. And make sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel for future videos, and check out my blog if you're interested, fearlesswithin.com. And I'm going to make a blog post on David Goggins. It should be out too, so check it out in the description. And I'll see you soon. Stay strong, guys, and stay fearless. Bye-bye.